Not my problem is the title of this, Ezekiel Kralin wrote. Email correspondence, June 4th, 2023. Subject, Deke update, continued. He showed up last night as well, although only for 2 hours or so. The downside was that it was 12:30 a.m. when he dropped by. When I stuck my head out the window, I looked down to see all 3 of them gazing up at me. Minus the human, I would have considered a welcome blessing, no matter how late at night. Well, it was nonetheless, because, the doggies. If Deke had floppy ears and a long furry snout as well, I might have included him in the mix. The dogs miss you. They want to see you again, he called up. Yeah, right, I thought. No doubt he wants his $20 and can't wait till tomorrow. As I reached the lobby, Lucky and Flacco were already waiting right in front of the gate, wagging their tails in happy anticipation of my arrival. The moment they saw me, they started hopping up and down in gleeful abandon and eager yelps. Hello, my angels, I smiled and looked down at them as I guided the 2 elves back toward their master, who stood with bicycle and granny cart alongside the curb. He was speaking with someone else about I know not what, as I plunked myself down upon the sidewalk to embrace my Brindlekin in a triad of joy. I need another chip with different music on it, said Deke, who turned away from whomever to state his request. I remained seated on the concrete with one pooch under each arm and looked up at him. You just called me down to visit with the pups. Don't expect me now to rush back upstairs for any reason. You just used them to bring me down here in the first place. Oh, come on, he whined. I lost the other chip. I need my music. Not my problem, Deke, I countered. It's well after midnight. You disturbed my sleep. But now that you got me out here, I'm going to enjoy the mutt's company for 10 minutes, then march right back upstairs and crash out. You can come over tomorrow to get your new chip. Deke then started to howl like a banshee. Oh, man, don't do that, and other mournful declarations. Too bad, Deke, I interjected between his bleats. You invited me out here to enjoy the dog's company. I'm going to do just that, and then I'm going to go back to bed. Of course, he bellowed on about the unfairness of my refusal to abide by his late-night request, so I finally answered, I really don't have a choice, do I? What do you mean? He queried. Because if I don't bring you another music chip now, you'll start screaming your lungs out and disturb all the residents until I do. That's extortion. Just wait a few more minutes, please, and you'll have your silly rap songs, okay? He immediately calmed down and resumed his conversation with his visitor, while I spent another 2 minutes adoring my beloved Brindlekin. Before I went upstairs, he asked me to watch the dogs for a few minutes and began to tether them to his bike. No, not there, I stopped him. Tie them to the cart. Instead of giving me a hard time, he immediately complied, but a few seconds later I grabbed onto the bike to discover it was completely secure, the way he tilted it against the circular bicycle rack, with a handlebar passing through the hoop, but pressed firmly against it. Wait a minute, Deke, I said. This is secure, so that's fine. Why didn't you point that out to me? He just shrugged his shoulders, so I added, but thanks for the respect just the same. Before returning hobbled to set up a new chip, I reached in my pocket to extricate a Jackson I had stuffed in there before stepping out. Here, I said, holding it out to him. Wow, thanks, he replied. I wasn't even thinking about it. I can really use it. It's money. We can always use it, I quipped, then disappeared behind the gate. So he got his music, but when I handed him the chip, he said, all right, you can go back to sleep now. No, Deke, I objected. I'm going to sit down here with Flacco and Lucky so long as you're still out here. But I'm going to leave in just a minute, he replied, while seated by the curb and rolling himself a blunt. That's what you say, but most of the time when you claim you're leaving soon, you're still around for a half an hour or much longer. Now, excuse me a moment. I'm going to bring a blanket down for the dogs because you're forcing them to sit out here on the concrete. No, I'm not, he grouched. Lucky's right here in the cart. Yeah, and the spot's so narrow he's still struggling to make a comfy nest for himself, I said, while pointing out the little feller's frustration since the monster speaker occupied most of the space. And what about Flacco? She's sitting right here, wishing to sit on your lap, but you shoved her away. So I brought down cardboard, comforter, and doggy snacks, just 'cause it's a nice thing to do for such loving critters. Once done snacking, Flacco settled into the sleeping bag, but her brother resumed trying to create a nest in the cart, which vibrated a bit as he used his paws with determined gusto. Stop shaking the cart, Lucky, Deke hollered. No, you stop it, I admonished. You don't provide them with a little comfort, and you find some excuse to be mean. My heart breaks whenever you treat them like that. Oh, my widow heart breaks, he mocked. Oh, po me. You think you're clever, Deke, I snipped back, but you're going to regret the countless times you've been mean to your dogs, especially putting their lives at risk sometimes by lashing them to a wobbly bicycle. That could have injured them. He did not respond to that, so I resumed my doting on the quadrupeds until Deke started preparing to depart around 20 minutes later. By this time, some youngish black woman had shown up. She struck me as very nice, what with her kind demeanor and friendly conversation with a splash of humor to it, not at all like that raspy Jezebel in the turquoise mask. "Let me bring him some water, and then I'm going to crash out," I told him. To be continued.